I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in today's video we're looking at the top fighters in comics outside of DC and Marvel. Okay, before you start yelling, we do need to establish some ground rules for this video. First off, the beings had to be Earthbound. Their original incarnation also had to be outside of Marvel and DC. Any superpowers would only be a natural ability or used for the enhancement of a trained fighting style. The fighting ability had to be hand-to-hand, short-range weapons, or standard firearms. As always, these videos are intended to generate discussion, so if you want to chime in, bearing in mind those rules, please then do so in the comments below this video. And yes, I do expect to get yelled at a little, so let's just get started with today's video.
The top 10 fighters in comics outside of Marvel and DC. Number 10. Roddy Piper. The fictional Roddy Piper is badass on a level that can't be contained by any one comic imprint, company, or fictional universe. Piper's latest adventure is in the graphic novel Roddy Piper Monster Killer, in which the former Intercontinental Champion kills monsters with his bare hands. In Titan's book, WWE Heroes, Piper took on an entire cadre of corrupt police officers and terrorists. But, plot twist, a 2007 action figure revealed that Piper had been a member of G.I. Joe's mortal enemy, Cobra, all along. Roddy Piper is a monster-killing Cobra trainer who secretly battles a mystical evil fronted by the nefarious Shadow King. That makes Piper's entire professional wrestling career look like a Zorro-esque attempt to appear like a wuss to the general public. Number 9. Kabuki. David Mack's comic book epic Kabuki has now spanned 2 decades and various companies. Kabuki is a codename of a Japanese assassin whose real name is Ukiko. Ukiko's mother was a comfort woman as well as a stage performer who eventually became engaged to a World War II soldier known as the General. The General's son Kai attacked and raped Ukiko's mother the night before her marriage, during which he carved the word Kabuki into her back. The rape was Akiko's conception. The injuries eventually caused Akiko's mother's death. When Akiko was 9, Kai attacked Akiko at her mother's grave and carved Kabuki into Akiko's face, because apparently he had a thing for that. The General then trained Akiko to be a master martial artist and assassin so she would never be defenseless again. Akiko was raised to become a living weapon, wears a mask to cover her scars, and took the name Kabuki as a code to reclaim the name as her own. Kabuki is a member of a government-backed league of female assassins called the No. She trained in a variety of forms of martial arts, as well as being skilled with handheld and short-range weapons. Also, her mask makes her look pretty freaking cool. Number 8. Wesley Gibson. Comic book fans will probably tell you the best thing about the 2008 film Wanted is that it stars James McAvoy and not Shia LaBeouf. The Wanted comic book was published in 2003 and written by the prolific Mark Miller. The hero is a frustrated office worker named Wesley Gibson who learns that he's actually a supervillain who will become known as the Killer. As the Killer, Wesley has the power to end life. He becomes an international assassin and bodyguard working for a nefarious organization of villains called the Fraternity. As a member, Wesley can commit virtually any crime without fear of repercussion. Some of the manifestations of Wesley's powers include deadly accuracy with firearms, the ability to redirect attacks back at his attackers, and excellent hand-to-hand combat skills. Wesley grows into a merciless, soulless killer who enjoys random acts of violence, so he's not exactly the role model of this video. Gibson's appearance in the comics is actually modeled after rapper Eminem, who, as far as we're aware, is not immune to the repercussions of any crimes he may commit. Number 7. Crimson Wasp. The Now Comics version of the Green Hornet started with a female version of Kato named Mishi Kato. The rights holders mandated a return of the Bruce Lee Kato because misogyny can end the careers of fictional characters as well as real-life women. Mishi was sent back to work for her uncle's company while her brother continued on as a loyal sidekick and protector. However, Mishi would later adopt a superhero persona, the Crimson Wasp. Mishi was an interesting character on several levels. She insisted on being the Green Hornet's partner and not simply a sidekick. As the Crimson Wasp, Mishi would go on to a crime-fighting career of her own. She fought with a variety of martial arts weapons, in addition to being an expert in hand-to-hand combat. Mishi should also be considered a master swordsman. She would later become the grandmother of a future modern-day Green Hornet. The Mishi controversy actually closely mirrored a later controversy when a female Ninja Turtle named Venus de Milo was brought onto the team. Neither lasted long. Number 6. Judge Dredd. In a dystopian future, Judge Dredd is a cloned judge who disperses street justice for a monolithic state as judge, jury, and executioner. Dredd's true face in the comics has never been seen to keep Justice faceless, basically making him the ultimate clone trooper. Dredd is armed with his Lawgiver pistol and rides a Lawmaster motorcycle, and presumably when he kicks back to relax at night, he watches legal dramas on his Law Shower TV. The impressive part about Dredd is that he's risen above his peers with the same genetic makeup. He's skilled in firearms, as well as a variety of hand-to-hand combat methods. Dredd has also endured testing against other comic characters. He's gone toe-to-toe with Batman, Xenomorphs, and a Predator. He's held his own against Batman and fared better against a Predator than Batman did. If Batman is the end of all arguments, then what does that say about Judge Dredd? Number 5. She. She's real name is Anna Ishikawa, and her origin story reads like a mixture of Batman, Daredevil, and Punisher. She is the Japanese word for death, and there's wordplay at work because she also sounds exactly like she, as in referring to a woman, which makes it the perfect name for a female Japanese assassin. Anna's father was a Japanese warrior, and her mother was a Catholic missionary, but they were murdered when Anna was very young. Naturally, this led Anna down a path of brutal assassination and vengeance. She was trained by a paternal grandfather in the ways of fighting, but is conflicted by her Christian beliefs. This eventually leads her to give up the she persona, although she'll adopt it in order to protect the innocent. She was trained to be a Sohei, or fighting monk. Sohei were rooted in Buddhist beliefs, and this fact alone would make Anna Ishikawa an interesting dinner date. The Sohei also favored the use of a naginata, a spear attached to a wooden staff with a curved blade. In spin-off stories, she has worked with Daredevil, Cyblade, Vampirella, and Wolverine. She's proficiency also particularly impressed Wolverine, who spent a considerable amount of time in Japan and wouldn't lightly give respect to someone trained in their fighting arts. Number 4. Manji. Blade of the Immortal is the story of an immortal samurai named Manji. Manji is tired of immortality and feels like the lack of a credible threat of death has dulled his fighting skills. Manji can lose his immortality by taking a rare poison, but there's a catch. Manji was responsible for the death of 100 good men. In order to atone, Manji must kill 1,000 evil men to obtain the poison, because community service hours were apparently out of the question. The poison would allow him to one day attain a glorious death in combat. Manji has had lifetimes to perfect his fighting skills. Additionally, Manji will often take his opponent's best weapons as a trophy, adding them to his own arsenal. The only thing that Manji truly fears is becoming a lesser warrior. The best result any opponent can have against Manji is to fight him to a draw, incapacitate him, or simply flee successfully. But Manji, by his own admission, is not the ultimate fighter due to his own lack of mortality. Number 3. Leonardo. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a group of 4 anthropomorphic turtles mutated by a strange ooze and trained in the ninjutsu arts by a rat sensei named Splinter. Of the 4, Leonardo is the oldest, as well as the one who's the most dedicated student. In the original Marvel Mirage Comics run, Leonardo is depicted as being able to hold off an entire army of Foot Clan ninjas. A future Leonardo was shown as becoming a ninja master who founded his own ninja school while the property was with Archie Comics. Leonardo is the most passionate of the 4 turtles in the pursuit of mastery of the ninja arts. Donatello is a tinkerer and inventor, Raphael is too hot-headed to achieve his maximum potential, and Michelangelo is generally only concerned with having fun. Given a turtle's unusual long lifespan, Leonardo has the potential to develop his skills beyond the ability of a human. Plus, he has natural body armor, and his mutated body isn't as likely to break down over time. Number 2. Obadiah Archer. Depending on which series you read, there are 2 different origins for Obadiah Archer. In the 1992 series, Archer's parents are child molesters. Archer escapes them, seeks refuge in the Himalayas, and discovers that he has near-perfect control over his body after a near-death experience. Buddhist monks give him refuge from those who hunt him and train him in martial arts as well as archery. Archer's skill in archery is considered to be something of a side effect of his perfect body control. In the 2012 series, Archer is raised by an evil sect for the express purpose of killing the immortal Armstrong, because no comic book hero is allowed to have an even remotely normal childhood. Archer is a combination of the perfect specimen of humanity and an advanced level of training from an early age. In both series, Archer is a nearly perfect fighter, capable of taking on supernatural forces with hand-to-hand or short-ranged combat. Archer's physical mastery also manifests itself in other ways. For example, he's a superior basketball player. Number 1. Backlash. Backlash is the code name of a being who also goes by Mark Slayton. Slayton was originally an Atlantean who's traveled the Earth for nearly 3,000 years. In the comics, Atlantis is a society founded by aliens. Slayton has an alien father and a human mother. He only has fractured memories of his life, but he's always been some sort of fighter or soldier because a comic about a 3,000-year-old knitting enthusiast would be dull. Slayton was a medieval knight, a ninja in feudal Japan, and a United States Air Force colonel tasked with investigating alien phenomena, among other military roles. Slayton possessed the time and inclination to master almost every fighting style and weapon. He has the luxury of investing an entire human lifetime into the study of every style. Slayton's preference was to use an energy whip as a primary weapon, hence the name Backlash. It's highly unlikely that anyone could beat Backlash in simple one-on-one combat, so if we had to bet on a fighter, it would be him.
So thank you for watching that video about the top 10 comic book fighters outside of Marvel and DC. If you think there should have been an 11, a 12, or a 13, or someone didn't deserve to make the list, let us know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please click like as well. It really helps us out. It helps get this video to more people. Also, there's a subscribe button on the screen, and if you like what we're up to, new videos 7 days a week, so be sure to subscribe. Also, I'm going to link over to a couple of our other comic-themed lists which are on the screen now. Thanks again for watching.